Hey everyone, welcome to Clockwork Fall, the new Diced Coffee Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast. We will be playing a homebrew D&D game intended for a mature audience. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. The story begins in the highly technologically advanced continent of Fenris. Over to the north, near the Frost Shard Mountains, in the fortress city of Serental, citadel of the secretive and isolated Aasimars. A young, pale-haired Aasimar finds herself unhappy with the isolation of Serental, and very curious about the technology that the rest of the continent seems to use. Jay, would you please tell our listeners what Eve looks like?
Yes, Eve, also known as Evelyn, is an aasimar around the age of 22. She has pale hair, silver eyes, pale skin. She is currently wearing a standard white dress, flat white shoes, and she has a very downtrodden, disappointed look on her face, clearly not satisfied with the way she's living.
You stand at the balcony of the largest spire in Serental, one that overlooks the rest of the continent. Usually this balcony is treated as a watchtower to see if there are any oncoming invaders to the kingdom. As you look upon the fields of Fenris, you find these strange metallic objects that are running through a metal rail at blazing speeds, faster than any horse or any flying creature could ever accomplish. The world has so much more to offer than what you currently possess where you are. There is a silence over Serental as everyone is asleep. It is midnight. You are alone. And the thought overcomes you of what could be if you had just found a way to escape this prison that you have been forced to call home all your life. What would you like to do?
Shit. I can't stay here any longer. I'm going to gather my things, a few clothes, and shove them in a bag. I'm going to grab my fallen initial experiment, a small, broken down imitation of a doll, a mechanical doll, and I will take the pocket watch, shove it inside my pocket, grab my bag, and try to stealthily move my way out of this place.
You take your things and move out from your home, if you can even call it that. You head to the tall spire, and just like you've been taught since you were a child, release your feathered white wings mid-jump as you fly and feel the breeze in your hair. The sound of bells are ringing. It seems that you've been alerted somehow to your swift exit, disappointed seeing one of their own breaking the rules that have been imposed on you ever since you were a child, imposed on everyone who lives in Serental. Suddenly you feel that your flapping stops and your wings start to break apart. There's almost a burning scorch mark, and you begin to descend and fall and crash and land through branches and rocks and tall trees and leaves. As you land, a branch hits your eye, almost certainly destroying it, and you fall with a broken hand. And as you keep moving, you hit a few rocks that sever your hand away, just below your elbow. You are injured, left bleeding underground, dying. Everything grows dimmer and dimmer, and then turns into a shade of red as the blood flows down your eyes. But you hear footsteps in the distance. Your wings leave, but before they do, you see a vision of a almost skeletal structure. No feathers, no muscles, just bare bones. You have been told of this when you were a child, but it was mostly just a myth, or at least you thought it was. As your vision blurs, you hear the sound of a horse. And approaching you, a man. You don't see much of his appearance because of your condition, but he has a hat, long leather coat, swords, and a crossbow, various items on his horse. He looks at you. He kind of goes down to you to pick you up, and before you can utter something else, the injuries take you and you fall unconscious. The last thing that you see is this man carrying you and putting you on his horse, trying his best to mend what wounds you have, and continuing forward, away from Serental, but you don't know where. Perhaps one of the cities nearby, perhaps somewhere else. You awaken in an infirmary. This infirmary has steel mixed with stone. Barely any wood structures here, something you're not fully used to. Manipulating and morphing steel into a full building or structure is something that Serental has never done. Odd appendages and certain people walking with mechanical, metallic limbs, you think. As you awaken, you realize that the eye that had been poked by a branch or piece of wood has been wrapped in bandages. And your severed hand has also been wrapped and is now just a stump. And you lie on a relatively comfortable bed with white sheets. There is a woman that approaches you. She is beautiful, long flowing hair way beyond her waist in a white dress. You've seen the kind before. The pointed ears, the near perfect appearance and skin. She's an elf. As she approaches and you awaken, you begin to feel a singe of pain from your injuries, but she puts her hand on your shoulder and a warm light overcomes your body and she numbs the pain. While you cannot feel your hand or eyes, the pain is no longer there. She only smiles at you. Get some rest, child. You will be alright.
Thank you.
And she almost certainly puts you to sleep faster than you have ever slept before. Moving on for a few more days, a man goes up to you. He looks intrigued, very different from what you're used to. The man has a curious pair of goggles on his head. He looks at you. You look like you're missing a few parts of yourself. Would you like some help with that? And he flashes the strangest smile to you.
Who are you?
Morris Blackford. I am an engineer, a potion master, and creator of incredible trinkets and strange devices. Sometimes they work, most of the times they don't, but sometimes they work.
Engineer.
Yes.
Where am I?
You're in Karn. City of Karn. The Crimson Forge specifically. Home base of the Forgemasters.
Oh.
You seem confused, child. Look, all you need to know is we're engineers, mercenaries, and contractors. We create things, we also destroy people. And all for the love of progress. Would you like a new arm and eye?
Yes.
Very good. I'm going to need you to breathe this. And he puts this weird-looking gas mask thing on your face, and you start to feel a little sleepy. When you wake up, you'll have new appendages ready for you. You feel yourself before you can even speak, just as you pass out. 2 years have passed since this event. 2 years have passed since these people you've never met, never seen before, seem to pick you up. When you awakened from that, whatever it was that he had you breathe, you were in a room. A small room. No decorations, but furnished. Your doll was with you. Untouched. Unchanged. But you were also given a few tools and trinkets. A box of strange items. Some of them you know as hammers, common smith's tools. Some of them odd-looking wrenches, screwdrivers, things you haven't seen, according to the note that were meant to be yours. In the last 2 years, you have been trained by these people. You have been gifted with knowledge. Although you have not left the city of Karn in those 2 years of training, you have been given knowledge. You have been given tools. You have been given resources to experiment with. And in those 2 years, you have excelled faster than any student of this place. You've quickly come to realize the Crimson Forge is the head base of a group of artificers, mercenaries, and warriors known as the Forgemasters. They do not get too into detail about the politics of their situation. They have given you the short version. A formerly large empire, one that you have heard of, the Gifran Empire that used to conquer nearly 3/5 of the known world, had fallen, and its territories in the continent have been divided into 4 nations, of which Karn belongs to one of them. The Forgemasters were once the special forces, and the artificers and engineers, the technological masters of the empire. You have been given the opportunity to become one of them. After 2 years of study, hard work, determination, you finally come to your graduation ceremony. In the Crimson Forge, the graduation of every student and prospective Forgemaster is unlike any other school that you have seen or heard of. Because of their nature, and because of the fact that the Forgemasters are now an independent and self-sustaining organization rather than one that is supported by the kingdom, they have to find ways to make their own money, to keep advancing their progress. As such, the Forgemasters have become mercenaries, contractors, and the graduation ceremony for every prospective Forgemaster is a live contract under the supervision of an instructor. For this assignment, your mission details are to be given to you in about 2 hours as you awaken in your bed. The instructor in charge is the man that you have come to know as your savior on that day, Claudius Verloon, a tall man, very strong-jawed, good-looking, scarred below his left eye. He likes to wear worn-out leather clothes and a long trench coat. You are to meet him in 2 hours. Until then, you are to prepare however you can, study whatever you wish to, do whatever you wish to in those 2 hours. But as you awaken in your bed and prepare yourself, you find that 2 other students, much younger than you, as you've come to know that the school in the Crimson Forge accepts students at a much younger age, ordinarily. You have been given an exception. But 2 other students are your roommates, Atria Miller and Martis Vario. Atria stands at 5 feet tall. She has a beautiful face, nearly flawless skin, but it's hidden behind a long black hair that's sort of in a fringe position that covers part of her eye and her cheek. The back and sides of her hair are much shorter, not even reaching her neck. She has blue eyes from what you can tell, and almost always is seen wearing dark purple lipstick. She wears a black corset and a studded leather jacket on top of it, the jacket only reaching halfway down her torso. She wears dark blue pants with black boots. They have metallic chains tied to the buckles. She carries a very, very large crossbow, outfitted with some form of scope or targeting mechanism. And it has a holster for a strange, jagged dagger that she likes to keep around her. Martis, about 19 years old, a human. Martis has the posture of a soldier, and he has all the confidence in his abilities. He has short platinum blonde hair, green eyes. He's normally seen wearing standard leather armor and a red leather jacket on top of it, black pants and boots. He prefers to use his seemingly family heirloom, an estoc blade with a beautiful hand-carved symbol of his family on it. You have yet to decipher what the importance of his family is in the last 2 years, but you figured it might be polite not to tell him that you have never heard of him, considering how proud he is of his heritage. Maybe today that changes, but they are also part of the graduation ceremony. You awake in your bed as you prepare with them. How would you like to proceed?
As soon as I wake up, I am going to walk to the nearest mirror to give myself a once-over, look at my reflection. I will look at my arm.
Your arm is a metallic. It doesn't seem robotic, doesn't feel robotic. It feels almost organic, but it's certainly metallic. And you have been given the option of actually being able to feel with it and not just a metal appendage. But it works as intended.
I will look at my reflection and I will part my fringe to the side to look at my eye.
Your eye is a metallic eye with a red dot in the center, gifted with a few abilities, considerably an upgrade from a regular eye.
Afterwards, I will take my clothes, prepare for the day, head to the bathroom and wash up, and get dressed and head outside my room.
Heading outside, your roommates following suit. They give you a nod and Martis gives you a smile. Atria just keeps moving after nodding at you.
You, too, never really told me who's handling your mission.
They look at each other, and then they look at you. Atria just kind of shrugs. And I never bothered to check. Martis just looks at you and says, well, at least one of us is a more responsible student. We're under the same instructor, Instructor Claudius. I heard the mission's going to be quite difficult, but I'm sure it's nothing the three of us cannot handle.
I suppose I'm stuck with babysitting the two of you.
Charming.
Yes. Let's head off and face the day, Carpe diem.
He just nodded at you. Atria just, whatever. She keeps walking.
You know, every single time that I see Atria, I always imagine this small cloud of depression hanging over her head.
That's not your imagination, my dear.
Oh,
That's just fact.
yes. Well, who knows? Maybe she will meet someone who might bring some sunshine in her life.
I don't need the sun. I prefer nighttime anyway. It's colder.
Oh dear.
Martis just looks at you with a small chuckle that he's trying to prevent to keep his soldier-like demeanor. It seems you may have offended her.
Don't I always?
I swear, Adria, one of these days I will reveal that you are truly a vampire. I thought that was obvious.
Excuse me?
And she just keeps walking.
Is that what most people call sarcasm? It never really travels well with me.
Ordinarily, I would say yes, and that is sarcasm, but when it comes to Atria, you're never truly sure what it is.
I agree. Shall we?
Well, yes, we shall. He walks alongside you. Atria eventually kind of slows down to go by your side. You begin to realize that she may not exactly know where she's going precisely. But as you travel forward, you end up in the meeting room where you are assigned. It is the three of you who will form this one of the teams that are going out on their graduation mission. Now, the Crimson Forge takes a lot of missions, and most other teams will go into different places. You have been placed under Instructor Claudius, the man who had saved you 2 years ago. He moves forward in his usual coat, the same coat that he actually saved you in. And it is just as worn out, if not more, as when you've seen it before. He refuses to change it. It looks like the kind of coat where if you wash it as best as you can, it still looks like it could use a good wash. As he moves forward, he looks at all of you. Well, looky what we have here. Looks like you guys are my assistants on this mission.
I'm glad to be here.
He looks at you. You're looking much better than you did 2 years ago.
Well, that is thanks to you, and I am feeling quite great actually. I'm going to show him my arm. This has been serving me quite well. Very well.
Glad to hear it. I suppose you're all prepared?
Ready as we'll ever be.
Whatever. Got all my things. Ready, sir? Right. You got Boy Scout, Miss Depression over here, and Miss Bionic. Looking like a good team to have. So, here's the deal. We'll be taking the arcane rail, the national rail, over to Trustworld. From there, we're taking a couple of horses and heading into the Mifo mines. Overall, the journey should take us about 5 hours to complete. Once we get to the mines, it'll be past noon. From there, we're to investigate a few going-ons in there. Some of the miners from Trustworld are missing. They haven't exited the mines. There's rumors of some sort of beast in there. Others say that there's some sort of toxic fumes. There's a lot of things going on. But they're all rumors. Our job's to find out what's really happened, and if we have the capacity to put an end to it. Any questions?
How many people were victimized for the last few days? And when did it start happening?
Started about a week ago, and so far we've lost 7 miners and 3 people who volunteered to search for them. We'll be searching the mines, checking for anything suspicious, and if we can, we deal with the threat. Bring your best weapons, bring whatever you want, just make sure it's useful. And do remember, while we're all part of the country of Kovara, we're not exactly liked by virtue of what we are. Just because Trustworld hires us to do this doesn't mean they like us. They hired us because we're good at it. There's a difference. So, be prepared to see some people who really don't like you. But equally, be prepared to find people who are interested. If there's nothing else, we leave in an hour. Feel free to do as you wish with that time. Just nods. Meet me outside the Crimson Forge. We'll get a horse to drag us all the way to the arcane rail.
Understood. I will do a small salute.
He walks away. As he nods, he salutes with 2 fingers and just kind of just does it while his back is turned, completely foregoing any kind of formality. You can see that Martis does not drop his salute until Instructor Claudius leaves the room. Boy Scout.
It's part of his charm, I'd say. Well, you two do whatever you two want to do. I will get myself some coffee.
I could go for coffee.
Lovely. What about you, Mr. Boy Scout?
I would thank you not to call me that, but yes, coffee would be lovely.
It's kind of our thing now. No one knows us by name, they know us by description. So, might as well live through it.
Right. Very well. You all move to the pantry, get yourself some coffee, some food, fuel up, and within the hour, you're already waiting by the entranceway of the Crimson Forge, where a horse and carriage awaits, and Instructor Claudius arrives, drinking from a flask like he always does.
I would like to make it a point that I have asked for several packets of coffee and several packets of sugar on the way, so I would be taking them with me on the travel.
Fair enough. So, with Claudius arriving, taking one last swig, well, look at you early birds. Aren't you all excited to go on your first mission now?
Damn straight.
Just want to go out and see something else other than the forge. Everyone just kind of looks at her.
I will look at her as well. I thought you're not the type to interact with other people and just stay in the night alone in the cold, dark embrace of or whatever it is that you enjoy.
I don't have to interact with people. I just want to see something other than a metallic dome.
Fair. That is very true. I do understand. The coffee here is the best.
Let's get going then. The resulting carriage ride is not that long. It only takes about 20 minutes for you to get to the National Rail. From there, you go to the rail station. First time you've seen it up close. First time for all three of you as students. But especially you, Eve, given that you were kind of introduced to this world via the Forge and haven't really left. Upon arriving at the station, it is large, metallic, also part cement, and you can see one of the trains already leaving. A massive metallic structure comparable to a long serpentine dragon that just leaving behind a blue trail of arcane mist from what it looks like. Various people moving in and out. The speed at which it travels is so fast that it leaves a large booming sound as it leaves the station. Welcome to the Arcane Railway, children. Is it everything you hoped it to be?
And more. I can't wait to ride it.
Well, come on. I've got tickets.
I'll grab my ticket and immediately rush towards the entrance.
Okay. You rush towards the entryway. The guard just kind of takes it, snaps it, and allows you through the turnstile. Everyone else follows rather slowly. You are obviously the first one to arrive. This station, on the inside, the floor seems to be wooden, but probably supported by a metallic structure underneath. There are booths that have doors on each side, and a central aisle where you can walk. A restroom on certain carts. According to your ticket, your aisle or your booth is A15, so it's on the front cart. As you rush towards there, you find that your booth has a couch on either side facing each other with a small table in the center, a section for your bags on the top, various reading materials to go through, and a very large window that can be opened or closed depending on your preference of what you want to see. About 5 minutes later, the more regularly paced walkings of Instructor Claudius, Atria, and Martis eventually catch up. I didn't know you could run so fast.
What warrants this kind of excitement? It's been the first time I've ever ridden something like this. I heard that they were powered by elementals. Is it accessible? Can I look at it?
Calm down, Eve. Calm down.
That's a hard thing for me to do when I'm in this place.
First of all, the railway used to be powered by elementals in a much more unsavory manner. Nowadays, the railway is powered by, well, employed elementals, let's call it. They're no longer slaves. But yes, there's a lightning elemental that powers a certain arcane crystal that gives this thing its ability to move, magnetizes the ground, or the rails, and the carts, propelling it through the air at blazing speeds. I don't think you're disallowed from seeing what's going on in the front. Feel free to explore, just don't overstep.
I'll try not to. I'll be seeing the three of you, later. I'm leaving.
But as you leave, you can hear Adria just kind of, what is with her? As you exit the room, as you exit the booth. Now, it's not that hard to find. There is a map on the walls that show you where the front part of the train is. As you arrive there is a guard that's blocking your way from the door that leads to the very front where the crystal is.
Pleasant morning.
Mon, can I help you?
Yes, you may. If you would allow me, I would like to check the crystal that's powering this place. I promise not to do anything harmful to it. I just want to see it firsthand.
That's not really something that's allowed.
Would you mind giving an exception to this very excited, enthusiastic researcher?
Make a persuasion check.
That is a 10.
And he looks at you. You can't go in, but you can look through the window. And he opens up the side window where you can see everything that's happening inside. There is, in fact, a walking vaguely humanoid shape formed by electricity and living lightning. It's sparking blue and white. It has its hands on a large floating crystal that is placed on top of a metallic pedestal that seems to be carrying it. It's fueling it with its energy. And as the energy goes through the crystal into the metal, and the metal has these small tubes that go to the under parts of the train. As you look at it, the elemental is fueling the crystal, and when you look to the small window that leads to the outside, you can see where that electricity is leading, charging both the rail it stands on and the train itself, magnetically propelling the train forward. The elemental is guarded by two other people. They look like spellcasters of sorts, trying to aid him so that it doesn't expend too much of its energy.
That's amazing.
Sorry if you're done, this place is kind of off limits.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Run back to your cart now, we're about to start moving faster.
That I will. Thank you, Sir...
Trust.
Eve.
He just shakes your hand. Good to meet you.
And I you. Laters.
You leave and you presumably head back to your cart unless there's something else you'd prefer to do.
I will be heading back to our cart, yes.
Returning to the cart, you find an asleep Claudius, a Martis who is sharpening his sword, and an Atria who is reading an odd book.
I will sit next to Martis, and I'm going to take out my small doll, mechanical doll, and I will tinker with it next to him.
As he's sharpening his sword, he looks and... You've been maneuvering around that contraption for the longest time, I think ever since I've known you. Have you come any closer to figuring out what you want to do with it?
Well, I would want to make it work first, but... oh, crap. Well, it's not exactly working in my favor, but I will get there.
At some point, tinkering, the arm kind of twitches up.
Hey, did you see that? It moved. I call this a breakthrough.
Hopefully nothing actually breaks.
Yeah, I think I'm screwing it too tight. Yeah, there we go. That blade of yours, you've also had it for the longest time. It looks like an heirloom.
Indeed it is. The Valorel family sword. I'm not sure why my father, or my ancestors at least, had a penchant for estoc blades. Too similar to rapiers, but I've gotten used to the odd distribution of weight.
So...
Yes?
I know we've known each other for the last 2 years, but would you be offended if I told you that I don't exactly know much about everything, really? I am curious about your family.
Surely you jest.
No, not really. I've literally been in a cage for the last 22 years, so...
It doesn't take a
No.
cage for people to not know your family, Martis. You're not as important as you think you are.
Cool.
There's a look on his face that he's just trying to stay calm, but you can tell that he got hurt or offended by that statement.
Well, learning now is better time as any. Might as well tell us about it.
Yes.
Eva's just going to cover her mouth and let out a small chuckle, just almost amused and a bit embarrassed about the situation, not for herself but for Martin. But she will try to suppress it.
The Varel family, my family, is a long and proud... It's a family of warriors, knights, and tinkerers, artificers, and a mix of all of them combined, that has had a proud generation of artificers for the last 100 or so years. And as he speaks, there's still that air of slightly offended kind of look to him. But he just kind of swallows his pride at some point. Just, yes, well, I suppose it's understandable given your conditions as to why you would not have heard of my family. I haven't heard of it either. You lie. As you can see, I take pride in my family name. And I have quite pressured myself into becoming the best that I can be for the sake of that name. I take pride in the history of my family regardless of what people think of the Forgemasters or our work or anything that's happened. And I do my best to live up to that family name even if nobody cares for it. In truth, the Variel family sparks more infamy than it does anything else. But
Infamy.
yes, one of our ancestors, before the Variel family was established, one of our ancestors was one of the first members of the Forgemasters and had a hand in the creation of the Warforged.
Oh.
We have long since tried to shake that reputation, focusing on progress and technology like the water pipes and the railways and improvements to transportation to improve the daily lives of people, but no one recognizes that. History will forever remember you for the mistakes. But that has not deterred my determination to become the best that my family has produced in recent memory.
Well, it's good to take pride in something, I'd say. Then I will go back to tinkering while listening to him.
Who cares about what other people think? You just gotta be your own man.
That is very true.
Yes, but this family has given me everything and I would like to return something back, even if it's just a reputation. But all the words of family, but all the times the word family has been uttered, Atria just kind of looks down and continues to read her book, no longer giving any snarky remarks.
Well, what about you, Atria? You never really said anything about yourself for the last 2 years. Or said anything at all for the last 2 years.
What do you know about me?
Well, other than the fact that I can't exactly tell if you're being sarcastic about being a vampire or not, you like it in the night, you don't make any sound when you walk, you like black a lot, and that you're a surprisingly good student, despite your unusual behavior towards other people, which I don't mind.
That about sums it up.
Well, that's the observable things. We don't exactly know more about what makes you, you.
Well, I don't really like talking about myself. There's not much to talk about. I'm as interesting as a sack of bricks.
Can I roll anything to see if she's hiding something actively?
Make an insight check.
That is another 10.
She's definitely, not saying something. It's pretty obvious. But you're not entirely sure what it is or how detrimental it is. It's not discomfort of actually saying what she wants to know. It looks or it feels more like she doesn't have a reason to say it. Or she genuinely feels that it doesn't matter. But she doesn't look like she's against actually saying something.
Well, I am curious. You're free to share whenever you're comfortable with.
She just looks at you weirdly.
What? What did I do?
Fall from the sky? Is that rumor true?
I don't know where the rumor came from, but it is partially the truth. I didn't fall from the sky, I fell from a cliff. There's a difference.
She looks at your arm and your eye. It suits you. And she goes back to reading.
Right? Honestly, despite the pain that I went through, this is the best thing I've ever had.
Martis just kind of looks at you and says, Instructor Morris has been working on a new prototype. Maybe you should go by there. See if he's willing to give you an upgrade. He's always looking for new students. It's going to be free. And the price, of course, it's one of Professor Morris's inventions. You know how those go.
Well, there's always a price to pay for progress.
You're so cheery. It's unnerving.
Well, I can be a bubble of sadness, or I can just do whatever I want and be happy. Ow! I should really be careful with this.
How about being happy with being a bubble of sadness?
Someone has to be the sunshine of this very weird group dynamic. Otherwise, we're going to sink down in the abyss.
Not the worst of fates.
Debatable. Debatable.
Martis just puts his hand on your shoulder. Please, for all of our sakes, give up.
Fine, fine. I'll go back to tinkering, and if it explodes, then it would be actually kind of funny to see him wake up. I'm pointing at Claudius. Oh, surprised to know. Ow!
He moves 1 seat away from you.
Oh, you'll be fine. You should be used to it by now.
As interesting as it is to have a metallic appendage, I'm not looking forward to having one implanted against my will.
Well, I'm not gonna. Well, that's true. But if you were to choose between being limbless and having this epic thing, owner's discretion, I guess.
I would prefer to not have to make that choice. Thank you.
Fair. Fair, but again, progress has its price. Ow! Ow! God!
Perhaps you should be more careful.
Yeah, I'll be fine, I'll be fine.
He looks as if he looks as if he's examining the doll and genuinely trying to decipher whether it's going to explode or not.
I would like to, can I discreetly cast a spell to make the sound of a ticking time bomb?
You have prestidigitation, yes?
Yes, I do.
Make a stealth check.
That is, I suppose my disadvantage will not play in this part because I am just whispering.
No.
That is an 18.
Your mechanical eye begins to rotate as the red light begins to shine, seemingly unnoticed by your group.
Beneath my eye patch.
Beneath the eye patch, as it rotates, the magic flows through your body and into the doll as there's a sound of...
Oh no, this is not good.
What is that sound?
It's not good, oh my god, it's gonna explode! I'll throw the doll at him.
No, why are you... He throws it over to Atria, who just kind of looks at it. Oh, a bomb. She tosses it over to Claudius. I'm away. What's going on? Instructor, that's about to explode. It's a bomb. Why are you laughing? He tosses it at Martis's head. As Claudius. She's pranking you dunderhead.
Works every time.
You see Martis just looks at you and says, that wasn't funny, as he hands you back the doll.
Oh, it was. Loosen up a bit. Jeez, it's just a joke. I'm gonna go back to tinkering with it.
Atria doesn't think it's very funny. And then Atria just looks and says, what are you talking about? This is my happy face.
See, she found it hilarious.
It's always good to see you in pain.
Bliss.
You travel for the next 5 hours, the 5 longest hours of Martis's entire life at this point. As you arrive to the walls of the city of Trustworld, the train immediately goes to the side where the entrance to it is open for it, and you arrive at the train station. Trustworld is a fairly large city, not as large as Karn, not as large from what you can tell. It is, however, just as advanced. You can see various factories next to the train station responsible for creating the airships that you have seen before. Immediately after departing from the train station, Instructor Claudius does not waste too much time. as he gathers all of you and brings you to the stables to get a carriage and a horse. As you're traveling by horse, Martis has completed his preparations. Atria has taken on a more serious, if at all possible, more serious than she normally looks, face. With her crossbow loaded, you obviously have your own trinkets and weapons at your disposal, and Claudius has also prepared himself. He looks at all of you. Y'all listen right here. We need to take this seriously. Fun games is all good during travel, but we're on a real mission here. No more jokes, no more fooling around, no distractions. People's lives are at stake. More importantly, our lives are at stake. So if y'all want to live to be whatever you want to be when you grow up, if y'all want to be engineers, forgemasters, or whatever it is you're aiming to be, you take things seriously. As an instructor on your graduation, I'm not here to aid you. I'm here to observe and make sure there are no casualties. But I'm leaving everything to all of you. Plan, strategizing, finding, everything. I'll step in when I need to. Otherwise, I'll leave all of you to it. Is that clear?
Understood.
Yes, sir. Yes. All right, then. As he looks to the outside, the Mifra mines await. The carriage is open. You all head down. We've been given 3 hours to search these mines, see if we can find anything that hasn't already been found. I'll be trailing behind all of you. Why don't you guys go ahead? Let me see what y'all got. Oh, put these on. He hands each of you necklaces. They just have a metal chain standard and a small blue crystal. It tracks your health. Make sure you're still alive. In case I need to get to any one of yours, I'll be referring to that. And he shows you a metal box with 3 identical crystals, seemingly tracking the glow of your own. In case you all feel the need to split up, it'll make it easier for me to find you, should you need it. Alright, children. Lead the way. Martis moves forward, so does Atria. The first part of this is fairly simple. Martis and Atria light some torches. Do you have dark vision?
I do have dark vision.
You do not need the torch. You can see more or less clearly, at least within 60 feet of yourself. Instructor Claudius seems to have some sort of strange-looking goggles that helps him see. As you move through, it is just a cavern network. Standard mining operation. But it eventually splits off into 3 different paths. 2 that go down the center, and 1 that goes to the left. Well, isn't this a pickle? How y'all gonna deal with it? Martis looks at you guys. Should we be splitting up?
I personally think it's not a good idea, but...
We only have 3 hours. If we stay together, we'll never cover the entire ground.
That is true. Well, if we're splitting up, I'm taking this one. I'm pointing at the leftmost part.
Alright, I'll take the right center. Atria, you take the left center. No one engages. We go there, we gather information. We call the others.
Understood?
Y'all take these now. He hands you small stones for communicating with each other. Just to make sure. I'll be following each of you at different points. Crystals will allow me to go to your location. Y'all be careful. He leans back, watching all of you enter your different paths. You take the leftmost path, yes?
Yes.
Moving through here, there's a bit of a right turn, and then a small descent. The descent, however, is less of a defined mining path and more of a cavern network, so you have to crawl under a small space. Given your smaller frame, you are able to crawl with relative ease. As you come back out on the other side, you find a much larger cave network. There are scores of mithril metals here. The mithril mines have long been thought to have been depleted or depleting, given that it's been mined for several centuries now. But you have just found a part of the cave that seems to be unexplored at the moment. It's likely because no one is able to really fit past that smaller gap. But there seems to be scores of minerals, raw mithril that's embedded into the earth. As you move through here, you find a large underground lake that seems to have dried out over time. It's just a crevice in the ground now, and you figured used to be a lake, given there's still some bits of signs of water. You're not sure where it comes from. Whatever its source is seems to have dried out. You are gonna have to go down that lake and then climb up the other side in order to proceed. Will you do so, or do you want to turn back?
Is that the only path that I can go through from where I am?
It is. There's no other kind of turns that you can change, that you can go through.
Then yes, I will do so.
Start moving downwards slowly. The lake doesn't seem to be that deep. Then you start climbing up the other side. The rocks make it easy. As you grab through and you move forward, there's another path. Going in, it seems to get a little darker than usual. It seems that the areas of the cave where the sun still manages to go through the crevices are now gone. You are in complete darkness, which you can see through your dark vision is just a gray hue. As you move through, you step on something. You take a closer look at it. That is a body.
Oh. I will close my eyes and try to listen in if there's anything moving around me.
Perception check.
That is a 19.
You only hear the echoing sounds of the winds in the cavern, likely from the outside, and just faint dripping, probably from the stalactites. Nothing that doesn't belong inside the cavern.
Understood. I will look at my hand and I will emit a small beam of light from it, so I would be able to investigate the body better.
Make a medicine check for me.
That is a 15.
From your understanding of decomposition, the body cannot be older than a week or so. Given the conditions in the cave, it is rather cold underground here. Probably helps prevent decomposition from going at a faster rate, but in any case, the body itself will probably match up with the timeline of the missing people. You can make an investigation check if you want to go through the body's belongings.
That is a 18.
You go through, you find a few equipment, some rope, a pickaxe, some pitons. You find the helmet he was wearing, some armor, common for the miners, and the identification matches some of the names that have gone missing that was provided to you.
Understood. I will take a small piece of rock and I will force the light on my mechanical hand onto it, make it glow slightly, and I will put it on top of the body just so I would be able to locate it in case I do leave this crevice.
Alright. You leave a lit up rock next to the body. Do you push on forward?
I will, but I will check if the rope and the pigeon can still be used.
The pickaxe and the pitons definitely. The rope, yes, but it's a little shorter than your average hempen rope. It seems to have been used partially already.
I will take it. Oh, all of them.
You can move forward through the cavern. There is a large crevice, several feet drop. You can't even see the bottom of that drop. And there's about a 20-foot gap between you and the next part of this network.
Can I look around the place to see if there's a place where I can crawl in or walk through?
From here, no. But you can try to climb across the wall on the small ledge.
Can I once again close my eyes and listen in if there's anything I can hear from the pit?
Make another perception check.
That is a 9.
Okay. You don't hear much of anything other than what you already heard before.
Understood. I will just wrap the rope on a piton, and I will throw it across to see if it can wrap around something and secure it.
You can throw it across, but there's nothing for it to hook onto.
What about the pickaxe? Can it hit the ground enough to dig into it?
I would call that a feat of strength to be able to throw it with such force that it slams onto the ground. So you can try and make an athletics roll.
Understood. I will give it a try. And that is a dirty 20.
Okay. Take the axe, using your metallic arm and the metaphysical strength the metallic arm gives you, smashes into the rock. Seems secure enough.
I'll tie the rope on my waist, just so if in case I fall, I can break my fall. And I will try to crawl on the side of the ledge.
This is technically athletics because it's partially rock climbing.
Understood. I will just use the piton to secure my grip.
Yep.
That is a 21, 19 plus 2.
Grab onto the pit and smash another one to the wall, grab onto it, and repeat the process. It takes a bit of time, but you eventually cross to the other side, unscathed.
Thank goodness. I will put the rope and the pickaxe back inside my bag of holding and proceed.
Okay. You keep moving forward. Through the small entrance, you're beginning to realize this is still not a man-made cavern network because of all the small crevices that you have to force yourself through. Your armor scratching across the rock at some point. But as you keep moving forward, you eventually arrive at what feels like a man-made entrance or cavern. It feels too big and too cleanly made to be something of a natural formation. It's empty, but it's a dome shape, probably about 80 feet from the entrance to the other side in diameter. There seem to be candles that have been blown out, placed everywhere. A bedding of some kind, perhaps, using the natural rock and leaving behind some elements of cloth. This looks like someone's home.
I am guessing this is not a natural occurrence when it comes to miners in this town or this area.
Miners generally wouldn't make their beddings inside the mines.
Yes, so I will hold the sending stone and I'll try to reach out to my three companions and say, I've come across something quite unusual. There is a home inside the cave. I will try to investigate.
Does it look like anyone owns it?
Yes, there is a bed and several other things that are not supposed to be inside a cave.
Well, I found something similar.
Oh.
Martis, you there, Boy Scout?
Are you still alive?
There are people here.
What?
I don't know if they are cultists or something else, but they're here. And
Martis, pull back.
I can't. I went to investigate the room. I surrounded it, they came back. I had to hide somewhere. If I leave now, they'll find me.
Just stay there. Don't talk unless it's very important.
You hear Claudius on the other end. You stay strong, kid. Stay hidden. Don't make a sound. It's important to remain calm. You hear Atria's voice. That's unfortunate. We should keep looking first. Marta sounds like he can stay hidden for a while. We need to gather more information.
Yeah. We'll make our way towards you, in a bit. We'll just look through these rooms. Stay safe and don't talk.
I know it's hard for you, Martis, but you have to try.
Not the time for jokes, Adria.
You said I needed more humor in my life.
Not exactly the right time for it, but bless you for trying anyway. I will reach out to you later.
Alright.
I would like to listen in if there's anything moving inside the room.
Moving inside the room? Not really. It's completely empty.
Alright. Then I will look for a hidden place and I will try to ritual cast a detect magic.
It's largely an open room, however, there are some small crevices you can fit in and still have the space to cast your spell.
Yes. I will just sit there and muster the magic through my eye.
Your eye begins to emit a small red beam, and that beam begins to disappear as only you can see it. And now your singular eye sees everything in red. As you look through the room, everything translates to you almost like infrared vision. With a hue of crimson surrounding the place, there is one thing that sort of glows in a small white aura towards the other side of the room as you're walking around. There is a strange book that's just sitting on a rock that looks like it was made to be a makeshift table.
I will once again look through it with a small light on my fingertip, just enough so I can see it properly in the dark.
You open the book. First, it is leather bound, old, almost like skinned animal type of leather. You look through it. It's empty. There's no title, there's no page, it's just an empty book.
If I may, what kind of magic does it emit?
It is not emitting a particular school, it is raw.
Understood. I will slowly close the book and look through the room to see if I can find any information.
Make an investigation check.
And that is a 14.
You scan the room, looking through. You find various markings on the wall. They look to be drawn in by some form of chalk or charcoal maybe. Or it could be just another rock scraping against it. The markings are in an odd language. You're not fully certain of what it is. It resembles common, but slightly more twisted. Not resembling it enough for you to be able to accurately translate. Make an intelligence check.
That is a 5.
You have zero clue what this could possibly be. It is a language. You're just not sure what it is.
Yes. May I copy these writings on my calligrapher's note?
Because of the language complexity, you can make a check with your calligraphy tools. This would be intelligence plus proficiency.
Alright. That is a 7. A stunning 7.
You have a choice here. It is taking a while to copy every intricate kind of writing. It's almost like someone who doesn't know anything about the language trying to write Japanese. But you have a choice. You can spend a little more time of your 3 hours to write this down, which you will accomplish it to a fair degree of accuracy. Or you can just abandon the effort and use your time for something else.
Is there another path inside this room?
Inside this room, it may not be considered a path, but it is a crevice out towards the roof that you could get to if you could climb up there. It seemingly leads somewhere else.
Understood. Before I begin writing, I would like to head back to the book and I will touch it and a small glow of light will emit on my eye as I try to identify the object.
Touch it. Your eye emits this red beam that sort of scans it up and down, trying to translate something into your head. This is a summoner's book. You are unable to decipher the specific ownership. It seems to be blocked by some form of magic. But the summoner's book is a kind of raw magical energy stored inside a book or some form of paper or parchment for the purpose of purely storing magic. The book acts as a catalyst. Normally, it's called a summoner's book because it is a common practice among summoners or people who summon creatures from other realms, trying to reach the outworld or the lower planes to bring forth demons and fiends of various kinds in a physical form. The magic that is normally stored in these books are to supplement the creation of a body for these fiends to inhabit while they are in this realm. Needless to say, the practice is highly illegal no matter where you go in Fenris.
Understood. I will take the book and I will put it inside my bag. And then, can I try to see if I can see anything from the crevice up top?
It's a little past your vision, so you can see that there's a crevice because the roof is about 50-ish feet from the ground, but you can't see past it.
How high is this crevice?
It's on the very top of the roof, so you'd have to climb 50 feet up the wall, and then another 40 feet towards the center where the crevice is, and then you'd have to climb through that.
Maybe not. I will go back to the writings, and I will try to imitate them on my calligraphers too.
This will take up a significant portion of your time to be able to copy them with a fair degree of accuracy.
Yes.
As soon as you complete this, you can hear your stone in your mind from the stone. Okay, they've left the area, but I'm afraid they might go to yours. These people, they seem to possess the ability to manipulate stone, creating their own caverns and their own entrances. Be on your guard. They might be able to go through your whatever rooms you're in without using the conventional entrance.
So I took a book. Should I put it back? It's a summoner's book. It's very dangerous.
Summoner's book? That's an odd thing to find here.
Yes, and should we keep it here so we don't alarm them with our presence, or should we take it and leave? How are we supposed to deal with these people? I will say this while I'm looking around to find a place to hide.
Make an investigation check. Martis replies to you. We can't exactly take anything. They'll be suspicious. Might as well leave it. We can't do anything with it anyway. Not worth taking.
Fair point. I will put it back, and I rolled a 7.
Not a lot of places to hide. You feel like your only recourse is to go back where you came from.
And then I will do that. I'll head back.
As you move, you begin to feel, or rather hear, the sound of stone maneuvering within the walls. But they don't seem to be coming near you, but they are heading towards the room you just came from.
I will just hurry my way away, just so I won't come across them.
You make it back to the large gap in the floor where you had previously put some pittance on to hang from. So make another athletics roll to get through that path again.
Understood? That's a 12.
That's marginally enough. You're risking your time, but you kind of cross through for your safety. It's not that hard to make your way back, crawling through small spaces, possibly having to remove your armor just to keep it easier. But eventually you make it back to the entrance. You can see that Martis has just made his way back as well. And the last person to get back there is Atria. Well, we found some cultists. Yes, and I found some bodies. A lot of them, actually. Any observations?
I found one, and some odd handwritings I can't seem to decipher. I will show them.
Takes a look. It's Undercommon.
Undercommon?
Language of the Underdark. Drow. Drugars.
Oh.
She's kind of looking at it. Well, that's not good.
Why?
Her followers of the Legion.
Oh.
They're looking for their return.
That makes the Summoner book gives it more sense that they have it.
They must be draining the miners of their life force, fueling the Summoner's book.
I will look at Claudius and ask, How do we proceed?
Y'all tell me.
Hmm.
I don't get involved unless you guys absolutely need it. Looks like you three are still safe. What do you think's the best course of action?
I will look at the other two.
Martis just kind of looks down. We were contracted to find the source of the problem. I believe we found it.
How many of them have you seen?
7. I found 3. We walked in and left.
11.
10, actually.
Oh.
7 on my end. 3 on Atria's.
My bad. Well, I don't think we would stand a chance against 10 cultists. Do they look... Well, other than the fact that they can manipulate stone, do they look intimidating?
Physically, no. But appearances always lie. Looking at Atria.
True.
Don't give me that look.
Well, there are people who are better suited at this than us. We were just asked here to investigate. I believe we've already done our job. But I'm not
That is an accurate assessment.
Yes. It's just not comforting to leave them with that item, but I suppose we can report it so they can deal with it as soon as possible.
We still have some time. This place doesn't look like it's hard to cave in.
That's true, but all that information... Well, I'm not exactly particular about legion worshipping and demon summoning, but... Can I study the structure of this place?
Make an investigation check.
That is an 11.
A few bombs should be enough to send a shockwave from your estimate. But they'd have to be very specifically placed. You'd probably have to make your way back in. Martis has brought a few grenades with him. Explosives. So our options are either we go back, accomplish the mission we were given, forego the extra payment of solving the problem, or we go back in and we solve the problem in rather explosive fashion. I'm a proponent of calling it a day, and I think we need to send these guys back to hell. They look at you. I suppose you're the tiebreaker.
As I always am. Well, I'm not exactly certain that they would kick the bucket should we cave them in, because from what we've seen, they can quite literally manipulate stone, so what's stopping them from just passing through what we caved them in?
They can manipulate stone, but it takes them a bit. They wouldn't be able to do it fast enough to avoid getting struck down by stalactites.
I suppose. Well, additional pay is always good.
Not at the cost of our lives.
True, but if they do end up summoning whatever it is that they're summoning, I don't think we were going to live for much longer now, can we?
They aren't the first to try and summon demons. I'm sure they won't be the last. I'm more interested as to why they can manipulate stone.
I agree.
The two of you are going to be the death of me. Fine. We cave them in. I brought explosives.
We'll be fine.
Which path should we take? Or do we separate, plant them each?
I would say we separate. Plant them in, run as fast as we can, escape the place, and hopefully they die in the process.
There's no remote timer on these. We have 5 minutes after planting them.
Understood.
Y'all can use the crystal. 1 charge. I'll be waiting outside. You can use it to instantly bring yourselves next to me.
Yeah. Eve will have a slightly conflicted look on her face while pondering over something, but she will try to dismiss it.
No time to be spacing out, Robo-Girl.
No time to be spacing out. Yes, there is justice to be done.
And money to be made.
Money to be made.
She walks in, you walk in your individual paths, making your way back. Would you like to plant it past the gap where you have to climb through, or before that point?
May I try to investigate which specific spot is optimal for a cave-in?
Caves are natural networks, so I'd have to call a nature check.
Understood. That is a 9.
You aren't fully sure. You feel like the safest bet if you just go through where they're concentrated and get the stalactites to fall.
I would think of that, yes. I will try to cross and plant it across.
One more athletics check.
Oh dear. Okay, that is 15.
Okay, you climb with relative ease. Looking at the bomb you've been given, this seems to be a standard issued explosive by the Forge. Given it is standard issue, you know its schematics and how it works. It is a silent timer, but it also has an accelerated function, meaning it can be anywhere from 5 minutes to 5 seconds, depending on what you want to set. The default is 5 minutes. If you want to be 100% sure the explosion might happen, you can set to 5 seconds and wait to the last minute before you leave. But that is your choice.
Would that pose a risk of me getting caught up in the explosion?
Depends how you do it. If you place it next to you, then absolutely. If you toss it like a hand grenade at the last second, possibly not. If you're able to react fast enough.
Then I will do that. I will set it to 5 seconds. Make sure that I have cover before I toss it in. Although, before I do, can I try to listen if I can hear anything from where I am inside the room?
Your passive perception is enough for you to hear the chanting going on in the room that you had come from.
Understood. I will set it to 5 seconds and I will take cover.
Alright. At this point, you will have to make a stealth check. Crawling into the small caverns. And we did say earlier that you had to remove your armor to make the crawling easier, so you are armorless, but not at disadvantage.
Okay. Oh, fuck. I rolled a natural 1. That is a 4.
As you maneuver through the cavern, you hit a bit of rock, and it doesn't make much of a sound, but then you start hitting gravel, and it starts emitting more sounds to it.
May I stop once I hear that kind of noise?
You do stop. You can stop, but these cultists seem to be alerted, and they start speaking to each other in a language you don't understand. Some of them start moving. You have the bomb in hand, ready to be thrown.
I am going to toss it. May I cast Grace so I can accelerate the movement of the... As I roll it, I can accelerate the movement of the bomb, just so it would push through forward faster.
You're just going to abandon the stealth and immediately cast the Grace.
Yes, I will. Yes, lubricate the travel. Yes, definitely.
Your hand kind of comes out, a small pipe comes out the palm.
Black Grace spills in front of me.
As it spills in front, the guy who was about to come forward begins to slip. What the? Yeah. And you toss the bomb. It slides across the floor.
Crawl back immediately.
As you crawl back, they all start to wander. 4, 3, 2, 1. Make an intelligence check to know... Oh, sorry, no. A dexterity check to react fast enough in order to be able to make sure that you are able to teleport yourself at the very last minute.
That is a 10.
That's enough to be able to teleport before dying, but you do accidentally catch a bit of the explosion that the grenade creates, as it is a massive and almost instantaneous blast that echoes through the chamber. And you are taking 7 points of damage. Most of it has been absorbed by the cavern, and you take the 7 points of damage, and you are teleported out. As you get teleported, you start to get tossed back into the grass. You hear several other explosions, and you see Atria and Martis kind of teleport out as well, with Claudius waiting. He gives you a hand. Now this is a familiar sight.
It is. I'll clap his hand and I'll pull myself up.
Y'all seem to have done more explosions in the back. and the very entrance of the mine itself caves in. Well, that's the end of the meatful mines. And probably anything that's living down there.
Honestly, I would say it's such a waste because I saw a lot of mithril and that would be so useful for my experiments. But it's not worth dying for.
Think you need to pick me up. Looks at Atria. Atria just kind of looks. Fine. Puts her hand on you. And heals you for 4 points of HP. Enough to numb the pain as the light comes from her hand. Strangely enough, most people who heal you this way tend to have this sort of warm glow. With Atria, it feels more like a cold chill.
Oh, that is cold, but thanks.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Beggars can't be choosers, but take my gratitude.
Accepted.
Well,
Children, all we gotta do now is head over to Trustworld, tell them what we've done, and let them figure out whether or not we accomplished the mission. Should take another day, so we head into town, get some rest, see what the town has to offer. You guys have the rest of the day off, once we get there.
sounds like fun.
We meet back at the tavern beneath our inn at sunrise. Till then, once we get to town, the time's yours. And you guys begin to get on the carriage and make your way back to Trustworld. And that's where we end for the night. Thank you for everyone listening. This is a new project from Diced Coffee where we're trying to do a bit of a podcast. Hope you enjoyed this solo mission, and let's all just congratulate Eve for surviving her very first trip. Narrowly
Barely.
surviving. Goodbye.